Alright y'all, so my hair, I don't know what it's doing, so how do we fix that? We put on a hat. Hey y'all, it's Michael, and I'm here today to talk to you about my wrap-up for the Underhyped Reads Readathon. The first one that I finished is What Becomes of the Brokenhearted by E. Lynn Harris. It's also narrated by him. I really enjoyed this. It's a memoir about Harris's life, and it basically starts off when he was a kid growing up, and then all the way to when he tried to get his first book published. I really enjoyed seeing an insight to his life because in a way you can really see how his life shaped his book. Because while I did have a few issues with the book that I listened for him, the first one, I can really see how his life is really portrayed not only in his characters, he put his soul into the book. Though even the way that the dialogue here is written, you can really see it going into his fiction. I've really enjoyed that. I also really enjoyed the portion about him and his hustle trying to get his book published and out to the masses. I thought that was really insightful. And I also really liked how he was open about his sexuality and then all of the hardships that he endured as a kid, his relationship with his dad, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars out of 5. The next one that I listened to was The Skin I'm In by Sharon G. Flake, narrated by Sissy Aisha Johnson. I did not know that going into this it was middle grade. This is about it's a coming of age story. The new teacher that comes in, Miss Saunders, it also talks about Malika and how she's dealing with being bullied with Charlize and about like skin color and class. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was, I enjoyed it, and I thought it was really good. I gave it would be like, I rated it 4 stars on Goodreads, but it's more of like a 3.5. The next one is volumes 1, 2, and 3 of I forgot this is manga, of Dororo by Osamu Tezuka. First off, when I started reading this, I was like, why is the animation so familiar? And come to find out, they coined him as he's the grandfather of manga. Like, he made manga really popular, and then his most popular series is actually Astro Boy. And I was like, oh, now I can see it, because the drawing on here is really similar to Astro Boy. After I found that out, I was like, okay, I can really see it. This was really good. Like, I enjoyed this a lot. This series, I would get them actually all 4 stars, and the whole series 4 stars in general. This book is actually, at first I was like, this isn't even about Dororo. He's more of the sidekick in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to try to pronounce the main character's name, but Hikimamura? But him, yeah, he's the main character. The story of this is that his dad, when he was born, he made a deal with 48 demons to give away his son body parts to the 48 demons in exchange for control of the land that they're in. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so what happens is the mom actually ends up shipping away, I'm not gonna just call him Haiku, he ends up shipping him away, and he is founded by a surgeon who built him body parts. And so now he's on a journey where he meets Dororo, because Dororo is actually a thief, and he's on a journey not Dororo, Hakimamaru. Yes, he's on a journey actually to slay the 48 demons. So as he slay and defeat each one, he gains a body part back. That alone, like, that premise is actually really exciting. Like, I was like really excited to read this. The main problem that I have with this is the ending. It feels really rushed. Volume 3 feels really rushed. It felt like they were going so fast just to finish it, and it leaves off on a really weird ending. There are a lot of twists and surprises, and I'm not gonna lie, even though the style seems really cartoonish and kind of kiddie-like, this is not for kids. It's really violent, tremendously violent. Like, heads are getting cut off, and like body parts are flying everywhere, and there's blood everywhere. It's so cool. I really enjoyed was volume 2. I thought that was like the highlight of the whole arc. And the reason why I say that is because in volume 2 you really see that the stakes that they're putting themselves in, it's really high. There are things that happen to characters, and I was like, Whoa. The only downside of that is some of the side characters, actually not some, a lot of the side characters are underdeveloped. They're just there, but in the few times that they are there, there's a sense of importance because things happen and it really amps up the plot. I really enjoyed it. If you're wanting to read manga, it's really different from the normal mangas that I normally read, and that's probably because it's like the start of manga essentially. I really enjoyed it. The story is the best part of this though. And I really enjoyed also all the mythical creatures and all the folklore I really enjoyed. I knew a lot of them actually. A few ones that I was like, never heard of that one before, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. Go read it. The next one I listened to is All Our Names by Dinwa Mengitsu, narrated by Saskia Marlevald and Corey Jackson. I'm gonna tell you guys now, I didn't like this. It was almost a turn-off. This book happens in a dual perspective, Isaac and Helen. We start off with Isaac, who meets a man, who meets this guy. He eventually his name's Isaac, which is like really, yeah. Anyways, he meets him, and this takes place in Uganda as the revolution's about to happen, and they want freedom and all that jazz. And then the book jumps to Helen's perspective, and it's actually in America, and get to see Isaac go to America and meet Helen, and they fall in love and blah 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 blah. Yeah, I didn't know what I could not pinpoint exactly why I didn't enjoy this book, but as I was listening to it, I was like, huh. And a lot of this stuff moved really fast. Like, the relationship between Isaac and Helen moved incredibly fast, and I was like, this insta-love, like, when I had to ask myself that. I was like, was this insta-love? Now, I did enjoy the portions and the themes that it brings up, especially about assimilation, becoming like immigrants. Like, this is essentially like an immigrant story. So again, like, I always enjoy those, but I felt like the execution on how to tell this story was real. It felt flat for me. I never felt this importance of caring. Like, I know like when you read a novel, you don't necessarily need to care about the characters, but I felt as though I wasn't invested enough to care about them. Like, the investment that I had with this book was literally like a throwaway. I didn't feel anything. I think that's as bad. Like, I didn't feel angry, I didn't feel happy, I didn't feel sad. Like, there was no emotions with this novel. I never even felt excited listening to it, and I was just like, so there's that. I gave it 2 stars out of 5, but it's more, I rounded it up, but it's more of a 1.5 because I didn't completely hate it, and I love the themes that it brings up, but I was never fully invested in the story, the characters, and the writing was just okay. I would most likely read his other books because I heard his other ones are good. The next one that I read, I really enjoyed, is The Women of Brewster's Place by Gloria Naylor. If you don't know, I don't really do well with short stories because I always feel like the book is so long. That's just me. But I really enjoyed this, and that's probably because all the stories start interconnecting, and I was really enjoying it. The writing is fan-freaking-tastic, and I also enjoyed like all the characters. There's like a lot of characters actually in here. There's like 7 stories, I think it says. Yeah, 7 stories, but there's more characters than that, and I really enjoyed it because as the stories go along, you get to see how they start connecting, and then you start to meet all of these characters. And the last few stories on here, oh my god, like, it was wow. I was completely blown away by the last few stories on here. It went in a direction that I was not expecting. It is really heartbreaking. I was in Starbucks reading this and I was like, oh my god, no. Like, I was like this. I really enjoyed this, and the writing, it fits perfectly with the story. I really liked this. I gave it 4 stars out of 5. Go read it. The next one that I finished, Soul Wind by Scott Morse. This book, I went into it completely blind, and I'm glad I stuck with it, to say the least, because you will be lost. Because I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is going on? Like, I was really lost. I stuck along with it, and in the end, I really enjoyed it. This is, I don't know how much I can reveal of this because, let me see. This is basically about a sword. Yeah, that's all I can tell you. Like, without giving too much away, this is basically a story about a quest for a sword. What this story does really well is that it juggles all of these disjointed timelines, and it actually combines together quite nicely. It does a really good job of leading the reader, so there are points where you are confused, but in the next few sections you do get explanations. 30%-ish, you can kind of see where things are starting to weave and things are starting to fall into place, so the pieces are starting to connect. And when it does click, that's when I was like, okay, wow, I can get this. Art style wise, it's done in this black and white. I'm not gonna lie though, the black and white, sometimes some parts of it was really confusing because the characters started, I was like, wait, what? So I had to do like a double take, and the art style changes between the timelines, which I think is really a smart choice, because with all of these timelines that it's juggling, it can confuse the reader to help the reader along. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars out of 5. The next one that I read like in the middle of the night because I couldn't go back to sleep, so I read it on ebook, which is The White Horse by Yang Ji, translated by Nikki Harm. This book is completely underhyped because if you go look on Goodreads, like literally go look on Goodreads right now, there is one review, and that's mine. Like, that's my rating. That's me. This is a perfect example of a book that I don't think I got. There was this cultural barrier that I didn't completely understand. That's the theme of The White Horse, because I don't know what a white horse means technically in Chinese culture, because this happens in China. Some of the symbolisms that the white horse represents, so in that regard I was kind of confused. I mean, I understood the progression of the story and I understood the characters and I understood the plot. I just didn't understand the theme of the white horse. In the end, when I finished it, in my interpretation, I understood the white horse to mean, well, I don't want to kind of give it away. So I had a understanding of the white horse, but in the end I was kind of like, feel as if I was reading something new, because a lot of the plot points that happens, I was like, oh, okay. I felt like some of the characters weren't developed enough. I know how some of the plot points here in like Chinese culture would be so shocking, and so I really enjoyed that, but in the end I was just like, so yeah, I gave it 2 stars out of 5. Alright, the next one that I read is Templar by, hold on, I wrote that, by Jordan McChechner, Liyuan Pham, and Alex Pullivan. This book was so good. I really enjoyed it. It was so awesome. This is a graphic novel about the Templars, and we follow our main character Martin, and it starts when all the questioning about the Templars' holiness, and so they start getting questioned. But don't think this is a history lesson, because this is more of a high story. I just really knew it was about the Templars, and I really enjoyed those type of stories like Assassin's Creed and like the Da Vinci Code. It was just a fun book. But the one thing that kept me going through this was the art style. It is beautiful. The use of color is, oh, and there are parts where it would transition to like the forest, then it would transition to like the sunset, and then transition into the castle, and like the way the color palette moves is beautiful. It does a really good job of going from panel to panel to panel to panel, and it was really action packed and it was fast paced. It was just like a really fun book. I had a really good time. I really did enjoy the camaraderie between Martin and all the other characters, and I was like on the fence about the love, I guess, triangle you could say, but I was just like, it is long, because you don't see graphic novels usually this long, and I was like, whoa. I gave Templar 4 stars out of 5. The last book that I finished today, as I was at work and I wanted to finish it today so I could talk about it, I started during the readathon, was God Don't Like Ugly by Marie Monroe, narrated by Denise Burse. So this novel, first off, I went into this thinking it was middle grade, just like the skin I'm in, and oh my gosh, I was completely wrong. It was gonna be a light, fluffy read. It is not. It is quite dark and sad and depressing. It's on the opposite spectrum of happy, but it is hopeful. So there's that. This book is about Annette. It is a coming of age story, essentially, about her growing up. This is essentially about her and Rhoda. I always want to call her Rhonda, but it is Rhoda, who lives across the street, because Rhoda is the Undertaker's daughter. Yeah, so like people that take care of the dead during that time. You know what I really enjoyed about this? I really enjoyed Annette's as a character. I was not expecting the relationship between Annette and Mr. Boatwright, because their relationship gets really not right. I was really into this book, and the main issue that I had with this was the length. And that was because there was a point towards like 75% of it, I was listening and I was like, oh, it's about to end. I was literally about to shut that off. And then it kept going. And I was like, what? There's something that happens. It's so hard to talk about this book without trying to give so much away, because the blurb on this doesn't give a lot away, so it's hard trying to explain. The last part of this felt really unnecessary. Like, it felt as though I didn't need to know about this part, because there was a part where I felt like it could have ended and I would have been satisfied, but it kept going. And then the reason why I say this is because the last portion of this, you find out information that happens, but I listened to it carefully. While things are implied, I would have enjoyed some aspects to be more open. Like, the mystery of it would have been better than some of the revelations that occurs. And I really did enjoy really fun aspects of this book, like the really lighthearted portions, because there are some parts that made me laugh and made me cheer, especially Rhoda. Some of the stuff that she did, I was like, you go, Rhoda, you go. And I really enjoyed that part because I was like, go, Rhoda, go do it. Like, now Rhoda is a G, I'm not gonna lie. You get to really see this juxtaposition between Rhoda and Annette, because Annette as a character is just so submissive and really quiet, and Rhoda is the complete opposite of that. She's really different. One of the themes of this book that I really enjoyed was about how we as a person portray ourselves to others, because the characters keep a lot of secrets. Some other characters never find out. It goes to really show how we don't really tell others the truth about what we know about that person. Nah, I mean, what I'm saying. Again, I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a really good look at this girl's life, and apparently there's like 5 more in the series. I'm really excited to see more about Annette's life. Yeah, let me know if you did the Underhyped Reads readathon and how it was for you. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed a lot of these books, so that's a good sign. Until then, I'll see you guys till later. Bye!